Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a really strange, honestly fleeting moment that modern life almost entirely ignores. I'm talking about the exact second right after a deeply held dream actually comes true. We spend years, sometimes decades, agonizing over what it's going to take to get there. The late nights, the sacrifices, the endless planning. But today, we're unpacking a fascinating and slightly unsettling phenomenon about what happens to you the moment after you actually arrive. We're starting right inside a completely recognizable, finished reality. Just picture that exact moment. The ink on the contract is finally dry. You hit that massive sales quota. The medical tests come back totally clear. Or, the keys to that house you've been saving up for are literally sitting heavy right there in the palm of your hand. That dream, it's no longer a ghost out in the future pulling you along. It's right here. You can touch it. It's your present tense. And we really have to establish this right out of the gate because it's absolutely crucial. The moment did happen. The achievement was 100% real, and your external life genuinely changed. Because look, this isn't some cynical take about how dreams are secretly disappointments. No one is taking away the immense value of what you accomplished. The sweat, the effort, it was all real. You absolutely crossed the finish line. You earned this. So here's the million-dollar question. What exactly happens to your sense of self when every dream changes your life before it's allowed to change your identity? That's the core of what we're looking at today. Why doesn't that internal feeling of arrival actually stabilize after you reach the external destination? You get the thing, you celebrate with your friends, but almost instantly, something inside you kind of shifts away from the victory. Why can't completion just stay complete? Think about that for a second. What happens when your circumstances change way faster than your inner identity can process them? To get why this happens, we have to look at how the system architecture of our modern lives actually operates. It's wild when you map it out. Modern systems do not preserve completed outcomes. They just ruthlessly and immediately convert them. Step 1, you achieve the outcome. Step 2, the system instantly locks that in as your new baseline standard. By step 3, it's just a future expectation. And by step 4, it's an ongoing obligation. It's like running a marathon, and the second you cross the line, someone taps your shoulder and asks what your next race is. Your result isn't preserved in amber to be admired, it's immediately shoved right into the starting grid for the next cycle. We call this process completion converted. That finished dream stopped being just an achievement almost the second it happened. Overnight, it was handed a completely new job description. It became a responsibility, it became maintenance, and it literally became the rigid infrastructure for whatever you're expected to do next. Think about it. The house you dreamed of for a decade, that's now a 30-year mortgage, property taxes, and a leaky roof to fix. That huge promotion you fought tooth and nail for, it's now a heavier workload, endless meetings, and a terrifyingly higher set of expectations. Watch how insanely fast this timeline accelerates, because this right here is where the deeply human experience violently collides with system architecture. Hour 1, the dream is realized, adrenaline is pumping. Day 1, you celebrate, pop the champagne, it's amazing. But by week 1, a new standard is firmly set. The applause fades out into regular daily operations. And by month 1, your dream is nothing more than the infrastructure you're desperately maintaining just to keep up. The outcome is technically kept, sure, but its purpose quietly shifted to become this invisible architecture that all your future demands are stacked on top of. Because this whole thing is so ruthlessly efficient, your reality just moved immediately into continuation. It took what was supposed to be a joyous final destination and mutated it into a frantic starting block for the next race. Before you could even take a breath and truly absorb that you made it, your environment basically tapped its watch, handed you a new clipboard, and said, "Okay, great, what's next?" Honestly, it's exhausting just thinking about it. And this creates a massive synchronization gap. It's the source of so much quiet, modern frustration. Imagine 2 synchronized tracks that are just slowly pulling apart. On one side, your external reality is moving mercilessly forward. It accepted the new standard and turned your hard-won success into a completely ordinary baseline. But on the other track, your internal identity is stuck exactly where it was. It simply hasn't had the time or the psychological breathing room to actually recognize the arrival. The system moved on, yeah, but you? You kept operating through anticipation, protection, and forward motion. Why? Because the identity you built during that pursuit, that scrappy, anxious version of you who had to hustle and worry and plan and chase, that version is still completely active. You never took the uniform off. You are literally walking around wearing the heavy armor of a battle that has already been won. So the result is that the self lagged. Your actual circumstances changed way faster than your identity could integrate them. And this leaves your operating self an entire stage behind its actual life. You become sort of like a ghost haunting your own success. You're pacing the halls of your new reality, still acting like you need to earn the exact thing you already own. This all happens because of a mechanism known as the ratchet effect. Think of a physical ratchet wrench, right? It clicks forward to tighten, but it locks in place and physically cannot slide backward. It's an operational mechanism where movement toward higher performance is preserved as a new baseline, but any movement back is interpreted as a severe decline. Every meaningful improvement you make raises the absolute floor beneath you. So progress keeps moving forward, clicking notch by notch. But that comfortable place that once felt like a true arrival just gradually vanishes beneath your feet. You can't go back, but staying still feels exactly like failing. Because of this massive gap between your reality and your identity, you're probably going to wildly misinterpret your own experience. People do it all the time. You might mistakenly diagnose this quiet emptiness as a personal failure. You start telling yourself, oh, I just lack gratitude, or you think it's hedonic adaptation, or some cynical emotional numbness. You might even fall for the ultimate modern trap and convince yourself that you just need a bigger goal, a more expensive house, a fancier title. Or worse, you decide that success itself is a total scam and nothing actually matters. Let's clear this up right now. It is vital to recognize that this is absolutely not a failure on your part. It's not a failure to enjoy the achievement, and it is definitely not some deep-seated lack of gratitude. So just let yourself off the hook for a second. You didn't fail to appreciate the moment, your brain isn't broken, and your dream didn't suddenly become meaningless just because the high faded. What you're actually dealing with is a structural condition. It's an identity delay. Completion was simply converted way too quickly by the systems we live in to ever become psychologically stable for you. You were never given enough separation between completion and continuation for the achievement to actually root itself as a deeply stable part of who you are. The machine just spun way too fast. So we end up with this deeply fascinating contrast. Your life, your actual physical reality, has already changed. It arrived. But your operating self, it's still caught in the storm of the pursuit, completely unaware of the upgrade. The completed outcome never got enough time or enough silence to actually change the person experiencing it. The environment upgraded, sure, but the software of your identity hasn't installed the update yet. Which brings us to a genuinely profound realization. You already live inside the former dream, right now. As you're listening to this explainer, just take a look around the room you're in. Scan your life. The things you once prayed for, the jobs you pulled late nights for, the relationships or the stability you stressed over for years, they are more than likely surrounding you right this very second. And yet, you might still experience yourself as someone frantically trying to arrive. The problem was never that the dream meant nothing. And the problem certainly wasn't that you're somehow incapable of being happy. The actual problem was that the completed dream changed roles before it had time to change you. The arrival just never stabilized long enough for your brain to finally exhale, look around, and say, okay, we can stop running now. This explainer serves as the third layer of what we call the protocol multiverse map. Layer 1, the Punchline Protocol, showed us the intimate human experience, that internal feeling of a dream ending. Layer 2, the dark side protocol, mapped out the system architecture, how our environments violently convert success into mere infrastructure. And this third layer, the Debrief protocol, focuses on integration. It reveals what becomes true only when the human experience and the system architecture are understood together. I want you to really let this quote sink in. Nothing fundamentally new was learned, but everything is now understood differently. Your life may already contain exactly what you once called the future. The part that never arrived was the version of you who knew it had become the present. You didn't keep chasing because the dream was meaningless. You kept chasing because the person who learned how to pursue it never received a stable moment to become the person who had already arrived. We're going to leave you with this final recognition to consider as we wrap up this debrief overview for August 9th, 2026. The ideas are human. The narration is digital. Interpretation remains yours. But as you log off today, I want you to look at the heavy infrastructure of your daily life and ask yourself, which of these exhausting obligations used to be your wildest dream?